Hi guys, welcome to the channel. I hope everyone is doing wonderful. And I thought that I would finally color in Jade Summer Flower Girls. And I decided to do that with my Tombows. The reason is because this morning I had to run out and pick Bradley up some bones, the cow or pig bones, natural bones that he could chew on. And right next door to our PetSmart is a Michael's. And while I was there, I found this. I'm just going to kind of move the camera up. Isn't that beautiful? It is just a, these are my Tombows that I already had that I put inside. But it is a Tombow marker case. It's for desktop and carry. It will hold up to 108 markers, so it will hold the full set of Tombows now. And it's really neat. It pops open like this. And this is just the paper. I can take this out now that I've showed you guys. And then you have all your beautiful markers here. And this actually opens up like this. So you can open that up all the way to use all your markers. Or you could, of course, leave it just closed and use them that way. And I always store on Tombow's website, it says that Tombows can be stored vertically. Their cases and things that they offer generally are designed to store vertically. However, they are double-ended markers, and I never, ever store my double-ended markers standing up. If a marker is not dual-ended, I will keep it tipped down. If it is dual-ended, I always store it horizontally. And so even though this is designed to go this way, when it is in storage, it will be stored this way. So that's really nice. I like the depth here, so it holds the Tombows in there nice and sturdy. This is so much better than that stadium case that came with my Tombows. The only concern I would have is this does just go down, and it has the snaps here to snap those shut. My only concern would be if this were at some point to pop, so I don't know that I would necessarily carry it around like this, but they'll be stored like this in the case. But I was so excited when I found this, and then I was able to find, let me see, these. Let me put this back down. This was the tropical palettes. They're already been placed in my box. This includes some of the new colors. It shows you on the back what colors are included in this. I already had 123, I believe 291, 403, 379, 407, 817, and 803 are all new colors. So the only thing I had duplicates of was 133, 856, and 685. Now, since I was able to get 6 new ones, did they add 12 new ones, guys? I think it may have been a full 12. It was either 10 or 12 new ones. So there's 4 or 6 that I don't have, but I believe 2 of those are grays, and I'm not necessarily concerned with getting the grays. I'm going to sit down later and look at all these and see if I can find a place to just pick up those extra pens online that I need. But these are on sale right now. The packs at Michael's, they are $15 for the 10-piece packs. And I broke that down. I was like, I'm getting 6 new pens. I had a coupon for 25% off of a regular purchase, so I couldn't use it on these, of course, since they were on sale. But I looked, and they don't have the new pens yet open stock at my Michael's, but I looked to see how much the pens cost. And when I took the $3.29 price, I believe it was, and subtracted the 25%, it was $14.80, $14.70, somewhere in there. And I was paying $15 for the 6 brand new pens, plus, you know, 4 extras, 3 colors, and a colorless blender. So I thought that was a good deal. So I went ahead and picked these up to get those 6 colors. So I'm excited. Let me open these Tombows up. And I have never used Tombows on any Jade Summer books. So this is going to be a new experience for me. I have to move these over so I can reach them better over here. So, yeah, I don't know how this ink is going to work. I'm going to just put the marker directly onto the paper. I'm not going to use water or any fancy thing like that. I really do like the look of scribbling these over on of a palette of some sort, picking it up with a water brush, putting it on. I'm not good at that, but I do like the look of that. But I just wanted to play around with the Tombows for a minute since I did get those new ones, and I got the case, and I was excited. And you get something new and you want to play with it, right? So, yeah. And her skin, I will definitely still do with my regular alcohol markers, because I definitely would want her skin to be as flat of a color, you know, as possible, very smooth, without the lines. So I will use that. And my nibs on my chameleons are all frayed now, so I need to replace the nibs. So right now I'm not too concerned with putting the brush directly onto the toothier paper, since it's already to the point that I'm going to have to replace these nibs. I had someone that commented that it didn't damage nibs to put them onto the cheaper, toothier paper. And it's not, there's expensive paper that's toothy, you know, like pencil paper. So it's really not a matter of cheap. And maybe in one of my videos, I didn't explain that well enough or whatever. But, and I'm not saying it's necessarily going to happen to everyone if they put their brush nibs on the toothier paper. But what I'm saying is, if you put a lot of money into your supplies, the least amount of risk, you know, for damaging those is going to, of course, be best. And that's all I was kind of doing, was wanting to caution everyone based off the experience that I had had with my chameleons, and a little bit on the couple Copic chows that I do have. And the only thing that I can come up with is the toothiness of the paper rubs against those fibers, and it wears them out faster than if you were to only use those brushes on smoother, you know, multimedia or marker type paper. And that was kind of the only thing I was trying to put out there, is that it might be a wise idea to err on the side of caution and, you know, use your more budget-friendly nibs when you're putting marker down on toothy paper. So I'm sorry if anyone felt that I was saying don't ever put an expensive marker onto cheap paper. It had nothing to do with expensive really versus cheap. More to do with the type of material that you're working with. Because even expensive colored pencil paper, you know, if it's toothy, I feel that it would cause some damage to the brush nibs over time, and they're very expensive. But, you know, to each his own. If you want to, the nibs on the Copics and the chameleons are replaceable nibs, and, you know, I'm not saying don't put them in your books. I was just simply giving a word of caution based off an experience that I had had. So there's that. So as if I had not already had a tough week, I didn't get to film yesterday. Today is Thursday. Wednesday, yesterday morning, I went to meet my parents for breakfast. I hadn't seen them in a few days, and we had all gotten some tough news, and just wanted to kind of see them and spend a little bit of time with them. And on my way that morning to go have breakfast with them, I was in a car accident. Yeah. I was just coming up to an intersection, and it's kind of a back road, but it comes to a stop sign for people who want to turn left, and then it has like a merge lane for those who want to turn right, with the caution to yield to oncoming traffic. So I had pulled up there and to make that right turn, and as I went in to make that right turn, a car was apparently behind me, and either he did not notice that I was stopping, or I'm not sure what the deal was with that, but he rear-ended me. He hit me right in the rear of my car. So it didn't cause a lot of damage to the car. The bumper's definitely going to have to be replaced. That's for sure. But what did happen was it felt like my brain jiggled around in there, and I had an immediate headache. That headache lasted all day yesterday. Ibuprofen was not working to help that headache, and I had some tightness in my shoulders, so I just came home and just laid around. I tried to go see a doctor, and I probably still need to go see a doctor, but it's a big mess. Our cars are older. I only have liability insurance on them that covers, any damages that I cause to someone else's vehicle. So I don't have medical on myself on that policy, and the doctor's offices here will not accept my private insurance because they say my private insurance will decline it because it's an accident. And it's going to be 3 to 5 business days before I get the police report, so I'll have the other person's insurance information. So, yeah, I've kind of been in one of those situations. I think it may have been a little bit of I think I may have had a small, slight concussion situation going on. I'm not sure. But, because I wasn't able to see the doctor yesterday. But this morning, most of the headache's gone. Still feels a little fuzzy. I was having some fuzzy thoughts yesterday, too. But overall, I am feeling a lot better than I was with the headache yesterday. So we shall see how that goes. So that's why I didn't get any filming done yesterday. And I'm really debating if I am making a bad choice by using these Tombows on this paper. I had a good mind to flip them around and use their nibs instead of my brushes. I just thought of that. I'm like, I'm just explaining this, and here I am putting my Tombows down on this toothy paper. And I am definitely not putting like any pressure at all because I do not want to damage those nibs. I hope I can find the rest of these open stock. I'm going to check over on Jet Pens and see if maybe they have them. At least now I know the color. If they don't, maybe Dick Blick's has it, but I think you have to spend, I think at Jet Pens you only have to spend like $20 to get free shipping. I'm betting it's more than that. I think it's $35 or $45 at Blick. But we will see. Oh, and I wanted to let you guys know that this morning I was just kind of wanting to tootle around for a second and just kind of play with something, and I grabbed just the Jade Summer Mandala book. No, I take that back. It was not. It was my Jade Summer Hidden Garden book. And I just kind of flipped over to one of the pages that was, like a pattern. And I grabbed my fine liners and just started coloring. And then I realized I was using the Artezas. And here's the deal. Those Artezas work just as good on that paper in the Hidden Garden as the 0.4 millimeter Stabilos do. So I don't know what the deal is with that. Maybe it's possible that there's some kind of difference between the Jade Summer swatch and the Jade Summer Hidden Garden book. I don't know, but for me they worked okay. And so I wanted to update you guys about that because I had told you they did not work well. And for me this morning they worked fine. So it could also be me trying to swatch them out on a larger area, damage more paper. But after the experience I had this morning with those Arteza fine liners, using them on the small areas of the Hidden Garden, I would say if you're in the market for fine liners and those Artezas, go on sale, they go on a lightning deal, I'd go ahead and pick them up. I would just go ahead and pick them up. As long as you're using them on the smaller areas, and any fine liner, if you try to use them, on larger areas, you're going to have, a problem. They're not made for that. So I apologize for any misinformation. I think I snapped to a judgment way too quickly on those fine liners, and I think they would be okay to use. I mean, I was using them and just happened to look down and realize which ones I had. My shuttle arts are kind of scratchy, and I didn't try them today, but when I had used them in my Johanna Basford books a long time ago, they seemed a little scratchy to me. So I don't use those very often at all. I'm going to check also and see if Amazon has this Tombow case yet listed, and if they do, I will put a link in the description of the video if you guys want to get a closer look at this case for your Tombows. And I did order the backup set of pencils, Artezas. I've used them a little bit, and I do really kind of like them. I don't know enough about pencils to, give any advice or anything on them, but I liked them well enough. This last lightning deal, I bought a set just to put up as backups. When that did go on the lightning deal, they kept the $5 coupon attached, and they actually went to $18, which was less than when they went to $19 with me. I used the $5 coupon, so it was $13.74 or 75 cents for those 72 Arteza pencils. I will continue on the Facebook group to list those deals like that as I see them. So, I mean, if you want to be kept up to date, the Facebook group link is in the description of this video. And I found out the reason you guys can't see my messages that I was trying to leave you on YouTube is because you have to have 1,000 subscribers before it opens up the community chat option. Once I get to 1,000 subscribers, and I say when, I'm not going to say if, because I know it's going to happen. So when I get to the 1,000 subscribers, I'll have access to that, and I will always post those type of things also on there, so you guys can be kept aware of things that I find, you know, whether it be at Amazon or any other store for that matter. I'll list those and let you know what's going on. Like if I see something really cool at a Tuesday morning or anything like that, you know, I'll let you know. So Gary got back from hunting and he did not see any deer, so he did not go hunting. He went woods watching. The guys that went with him, between the other 3 of them, they harvested 5 deers total. What was so funny is when they were coming out of the woods, Gary was like last out. His friend Rodney was already out. And Rodney saw Gary walking down the trail, and down below in like a, I guess ravine or type area or something, there was a deer standing down there. And Rodney said the deer was just standing there and watching Gary walk down this path. And Rodney said that he tried to whistle a little to get Gary's attention because he was going to point down towards where this deer was, because he said without a doubt, from where Gary was and where that deer was in the situation, if he could have gotten Gary's attention, Gary would have harvested that deer. Just the one that was there. So that's kind of sad for him, but you know, things like that happen. This will be the first season in many, many years that Gary has not harvested a deer. As of Sunday, hunting season is over here, with the exception of a few counties, but they will be bow hunt only. And Gary does bow hunt some, but we don't have really any property that he can hunt within those counties. But he's going to ask around and look, and maybe, you know, he'll find somewhere to hunt until the end of the month. But as of Sunday, rifle season will have ended. So it was a rather sad deer season for Gary. Poor guy. I tried the Pentel hybrid dual metallic gel pens for the first time, and I am in love. Are those available open stock? I want to find out. I'm of course going to check at Jet Pens and places like that. They were not available at Michael's. Sparkle Pops were, but they didn't have a lot available. So I was able to try a Sparkle Pop in store for the first time. I love those Sparkle Pops. I must have a set. So, and that's going to be my next thing. I would really like to get a set of the Sparkle Pops to play with. Of course, these pens are, you know, a lot more expensive than the big sets, so I won't be coloring a lot of large stuff with it, just definitely for just little pops of color. But those dual metallics were absolutely amazing with the amount of color that they were putting down on the paper. It was, oh my goodness, I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. By far my favorite silver and my favorite gold that I think I've ever seen. The Sparkle Pops look pretty good, so I definitely want to try them too, if for nothing else, for the silvers and the golds. So we will see. And I'm going to be honest, guys, I'm not really looking at my swatches because I guess I need to re-swatch all of my Tombows now that I was able to get a few more of them, but it doesn't make sense to re-swatch yet because I want to get those other few that I need to get. So I don't really know. So basically what I'm saying is I'm just grabbing colors. Excuse me. I think some of these new colors are beautiful. I'm not really sure what I want to color, what part I want to color. I'm just kind of just going with the flow here. Finding places to lay down color and just going for it. I have no idea what we'll end up with in the end. Loving the process. And I have had someone mention that they feel that colorists who do not blend, do not shade, are treated inferior to those of us who do, and I don't much. So, you know, I would fit into the first category, honestly, in my opinion. Also, if they may use the more budget-friendly supplies. I know a lot of people don't like the word cheap. If I ever say cheap, what I'm referring to is the price, not the quality of the product. Okay, if I'm talking about the quality of the product, I'm going to tell you it's crap, is what I'm going to say. I'm not going to use the word cheap. I'm going to use the word crap. If I think that, oh, that's too close of a match. You know, if I think the quality is bad, I'm gonna tell you that. I'm not going to leave any, you know, you are in no way. Let me see how this one looks. That one looks kind of dark too. We'll see how it dries though. You know, if I'm talking about the bad quality of a product, I'm going to use crap. I'm going to use bad. I'm not going to use cheap, because if I say cheap, I mean price-wise. So I try to remember to use the term budget-friendly. But also, if they were using more budget-friendly or cheaper in price supplies, that they're kind of thought of as inferior and not worthy of sharing their work. That broke my heart. That absolutely broke my heart that someone in our coloring community feels that way. Because that tells me that somewhere along the way they have encountered someone with that type of mentality that has expressed that mentality, and that's just horrible. It breaks my heart that anyone would feel that they cannot share their work because of the brands of their material, or the fact that they're not being fancy pantsed with the way they use that material. Now, I want to give you my opinion, and I will always say this and stand by this 100% of the time. It will never waver, and you will never hear me say anything contrary to what I'm about to say right now. Art is beautiful, regardless of the medium and regardless of the technique. I have seen people who are into like splatter art, and that is basically just taking a canvas and splattering paint or ink or whatever all over this canvas. And that's a form of art, and it's beautiful. Okay? There's no shading, there's no blending. They are just splattering, and it's beautiful. I love to see color go down on a canvas, regardless of what canvas that is. I love seeing color in tattoos on the human body, canvas for painting, paper that has been colored, all of that. I love it. It makes me happy. And I could care less what product that person used to achieve their final results. I will never, here on the channel or in the Facebook group or anywhere, tolerate the mentality that if you're not using Prismacolors, Karen Diash, Pablo, Polychromos, whatever, that if you're not using those, or if you're not using Copic, that you're using a bad medium. Negative. I will never support that type of mentality. And to say, well, you didn't do a color gradation, you didn't highlight, you didn't shade, no, negative. Who cares? We do this to make ourselves feel happy and relaxed. Some people get relaxation and joy out of spending a lot of time on detail and putting down blends and shades and highlights and gradients, and you know, that's where they get their enjoyment. Other people get very nervous and stressed out with that process. When you're learning something, if you have a desire to learn to shade or to blend, then yes, there's going to be some stress involved, but there's stress involved in learning any new skill or technique. And if that's something that you desire to do, then it's a positive stress, because it pushes you to continue on until you achieve your goal. And that's fine. For those of us who are just negatively stressed out by that, because that's not what we want to do, and the only reason we try to do it is to please other people, then it's being done for the wrong reasons, and you're never going to find joy in it, and you should not do it. And that does not mean that your work is not shareable or that it's not beautiful, because just like that splatter paint, it's color, it's on a canvas, and it is art. Okay? Have you guys seen Pablo Picasso? Oh my gosh. Okay? Look at that. When you look at some of Pablo's work, you can't even figure out heads or tails of it. And he is one of the most famous artists ever. Okay? There was not a lot of the people back in his day would have probably looked at that and been like, what? But look at us now. We will line up in galleries to see that work. And that's how it is even with our coloring. Every artist, whether they do sculpting, drawing, painting, coloring, music, it does not matter. Any of the arts, every artist has what is considered their style. Have you noticed that you'll look at pictures sometimes and you automatically think that's got to be a Deborah Muller, or that's got to be a Clara Markova, or that's got to be a Tabitha Bennett, or Barnett, excuse me. So you kind of see these things and you automatically know who the artist is that drew that picture, or you've got a good idea of who that artist is that drew that picture. And the reason you have that idea of that, the reason you know that, is because you have learned their style. You know how they form different strokes and things of that nature. And so now you can pick out their art. Excuse me. So style is what makes every artist unique. That's why you can pick, you can see these images and just know who drew that image. Coloring is the same way. You have your own personal style. We all do it differently. Everyone puts their strokes on their paper differently. And when you first start out and you're trying to figure out, how do I color with alcohol markers, for example, you may do some internet searches. You may ask other people who use that medium. You may watch YouTube videos and you see some tutorials and you try to copy the tutorials and you get those basics down. But over time, you will start to use the medium in the ways that benefits you, that makes more sense to you, and that works well with you, because everyone holds their markers differently. Everyone holds their pens differently. So pencils, whatever. And you'll find what works best for you. That is your style, okay? And from the way you lay it down and the whole 9 yards, even to your embellishments, that is your style. If you notice, some people have to close in eyes because they can't stand that open look that some of the eyes have, and they want this darkened like this, and they will close it. That's because that's their style of the way, that's what appeals to them. And some people, when they do the little highlights on the eyes, you will see all kinds of different ways that's done. Something I was kind of doing is just kind of putting 3 little ticks of white over the eye and the little dot, like here for the highlight, and it's kind of like this, like the light was kind of reflecting off of it. That's not how most people do that. And I've never really taken time to sit and look close enough at people's pictures and things to see exactly what they're doing. But that just came to me, it worked, and I kind of ran with it. And that would be considered my style. Is it wrong because it doesn't look like someone else's? No, it's not wrong. It's my style. And that's what makes it my art. That's what makes it mine. And that's what it all comes down to, is everyone has a different style. Don't be afraid to share your art, because your style is different than someone else's. And I'm sorry if anyone has ever been made to feel that they were not good enough. Heart that anyone would feel that way. As for mediums, I'm going to touch on this for just a second. I'm up on my soapbox. We are going to church. Can I get an amen? When it comes to our mediums, you should never take food out of your mouth, your family's mouth, or what have you, because you feel like the only way you're going to be accepted into the community is to use polychromos or to use Copics. Okay? That's insane. You use what you like and that you can afford. Okay? If you have a never-ending budget, all right? And everyone has a budget. I'm sorry. I don't care how rich you are. Bill Gates has a budget of some sort. There are things that he can and can't do. Okay. If you have a never-ending budget and you can have whatever you want, you may, at that point, get those Copics, get those touch, and I don't mean these little cheap touches, I'm talking about the expensive touch. Get those polychromos, get those Karen Diash or Holbeins or, whatever. Get them, try them, and guess what? You might not like them. Okay? You may not. Every medium is different. Prismacolors are not the same as polychromos. None of those pencils, every pencil manufacturer is going to have their unique little twist about them, and you may or may not like that. And you can dispose of or do whatever if you decide that you don't like those. If your budget says that you can only afford, let's say, what can be bought. Let's just say if you're on a budget that says the only thing that you're going to be able to afford is whatever brands they sell at, say, Walmart. Okay? So you get the Crayolas, you get the color Crazy Arts, you get Leisure Arts, you get those, Prangs, Sargent Arts, whatever. You try them. You're not going to like all of them, but there's bound to be one that you do like. And that's what you use. To say that my art's not worthy because I used Crayola is ridiculous, okay? That's like, I have the budget-friendly markers, okay? And I'm sorry. My art is just as valid as someone who colored their picture with Copics, okay? I spent a fraction of the cost, and I guarantee you I had just as much fun as they did. Personally, I'm not digging the Copic brush nibs. They're hard for me to work with. So that would be, if I were to invest in, those type of markers, it would be a learning curve for me to learn how to get those markers to perform in the ways that I needed them to perform in. I have seen beautiful, I mean beautiful colorings that have been done with bargain basement markers, bargain basement pencils, okay? I've seen some amazing work be done with Crayola pencils. And the reason I do not use Crayola pencils has nothing to do with the price on that pencil, okay? If Crayola was the most popular brand in the world, I would not use it because it hurts my hands. Crayola is a very hard pigment, okay? It's hard. Therefore, it takes more layers and more pressure to achieve the colors that you want on your paper. And since that's the case, by doing that, it makes my arthritis hurt and act up, and therefore the coloring is not enjoyable. So I don't use Crayola, but I would not use Crayola if Crayola were Holbeins either, okay? If they had the same wow status, if someone said, I just bought the full set of Crayola, and if people went, wow, I still would not want to use that Crayola. So you don't do this for the wow factor. You do this for what you enjoy using. And you have to stay within your budget. But I have seen beautiful colors you can make if you take the time and you do the layers and you're able to put down the proper amount of pressure. I have seen Crayolas look just as good as anything that was done with Prisma. And that's truth. Okay? Some of you, I've seen your art. Some of you could sit down and color a picture with Crayola and put that beside a picture that someone colored with Prismas or Polychromos, and no one will be able to tell the difference. Okay? When you buy these expensive pencils, like the Polychromos are very light fast. True artists use them, and I don't want to say true artists, that was a bad word for me to use. Bad word. Professional artists who are doing their art for a living. They are selling their art, okay? Let me stress that. That was a bad word for me to use. Those individuals need to have that light fast. They need to have their pencils and their mediums to be light fast. And so that's an important thing for them, and therefore they need the more expensive product to do that and to achieve that goal. I have seen a lot of water-based markers out there, and I have colored with a few different brands myself. Crayola Super Tips, I believe, are far superior to most others on the market. And that's cheap, okay? Price cheap. And they do great. You know, for what they are, being just a water-based marker, they work great. I have a set, and I need to use them more than I do. So, I don't know. I hope that helped someone. I hope maybe that put some things maybe for you to think about kind of into perspective so they can be thought about. Color with what you have and enjoy it. And post. Join my Facebook group. Post your pictures. Let me know if it's okay, you know, to feature those pictures. I am on the Facebook group. I'm picking images from our members that will go up as the cover photo. I don't know if I'm going to change that out weekly, bi-weekly, you know, monthly, or how I'm going to do that. But that's where those pictures are coming from. And I don't care if it was colored with, I don't care what it was colored with. Okay, I don't. You could have colored it with food dye, for all I care. It's about community. It's about supporting one another in our journeys. And your coloring and your art is always welcome and will always be good enough. And I want you to know that and always remember that. Please don't ever feel inferior because of what you color on or what you color with. Because every artist, I mean, fancy artists, they're all different. They all use different mediums. They all use different media. And that's what makes them unique. That is their style. And that's just the way it is. I hope that somehow helped. And maybe most of you are like, oh gosh, I wish you would just stop rambling. You know, I don't know. But if that helped one person, it was worth the ramble. I purchased both sets of those John G markers, however they're pronounced. I purchased the $13 and some odd cents 48 count set. That was, I believe, the black barrels. And then I purchased the 45 count. That was $8.99. That I believe was the white barrels. They will be here tomorrow. And I will do a full review on video of these. I'll do swatches. And we'll find something to color with them. Of course, they're not a very large set, so there won't be, you know, bukus and bukus of color choices to choose from. But we're going to take a look at those, because if you guys who are interested in going, you know, beginning to use alcohol markers, or you're interested in just kind of seeing if it's something that might be for you, or if you've been using just like Sharpies and you want to move into something a little different, then I want to know what the quality of these markers are. I want to know if they're a good choice for people, a good budget-friendly choice for people, and let one person make fun of these Ganji markers, or Janji, or however you say it, if they're any good, because they're even cheaper than Crayola. Okay. A set of these Janji markers costs less than the full set of these costs less than the full set of even Crayola Super Tips. So I'm hoping that will be a good experience and a good choice for people who just want to try out alcohol markers. So look for that video coming up. Let me see. Today is Thursday. They'll be here on Friday. Gary is working today. He'll have Friday off. The mail, he's got things to do tomorrow, but the mail won't run until evening time. The soonest I could swatch would be Saturday. I don't know what his schedule will be like, so I do not know if I'll be able to video on Saturday. If I get a chance, I'll do that video on Saturday. If I do not get a chance, I will do that video on Sunday, which means that you should have my swatching demo and review of the Janji markers either Sunday evening or first thing Monday. So those of you that saw me show you guys that they were available and may have been a little on the fence, I know a couple of you did order them. You've told me that you placed those orders, and I hope you're not disappointed. I don't even know how I'm going to feel about them yet, but we're going to find out together, and we will see. So that should be a, you know, a fun video. And I'm so excited because those are so inexpensive. So inexpensive. There. Ooh. Excuse me. These Tombows are not working bad. They're doing pretty well. They're not really peeling at the paper, but as you notice, I'm not putting a lot of coats down either. So, and of course, I can definitely see some marker lines, but not too bad for a water marker. So these are doing pretty good on this paper. You know, this was an experiment for me also. When I went into Michael's, I was really, the only reason I wanted to even go in there was I knew they sold open stock gel pens. I wanted to see if those dual hybrid metallics were available there, and that was like the only reason I went in. And when they weren't, I just kind of cruised around the store, which is always a bad idea for me to do inside of, that's always a bad idea for me to do that inside of Michael's, because Michael's is like, oh, it's something for me. But I did go in, and then I just kind of walked down the marker aisle where I don't ever need to be. that's like a weakness for me. And right there on the bottom shelf, I saw that Tombow case, and I was like, ooh. And I had saw that tropical set of Tombows on an end cap, and I kind of glanced at them, and I was thinking to myself, I wonder if those have the new colors in them, how many of the new colors, whatever. Then I found myself over there on the marker aisle, and I saw this case. I looked at the case, and it was I saw that it held 108, so I knew that it had been designed for, the addition in the colors from Tombow. So that excited me. And I sat there and looked at it for a minute, figured out what the price would be. I used a 55% off coupon that AC Moore had for them to, price match at Michael's. And so I did that. And when I was like, okay, I'm definitely buying this, then I was like, I wonder. I went over and I got the tropical pack. And I did a quick Google search for what the new colors were for the Tombows. And I got that list, and I sat and compared them. And then I went and I figured out the pricing, what I was actually paying per marker and all that kind of thing. Found out that it was a pretty good deal that way. So then I went ahead and decided I was buying all this. And that's how my trips into Michael's go. I should stay out of there. Very rarely do I go into Michael's and come out empty-handed. Something always seems to catch my eye while I'm inside the store. Does that happen to any of you guys? And oddly enough, I can generally make it out of Hobby Lobby. And I think that's because they don't have as much like open stock to look at. Because at Michael's you can kind of test all the open stock things. And it's like, ooh, I like this. And I don't think Hobby Lobby even carries the Tombows open stock at all. I could be wrong, but I don't think they do. At least mine doesn't. Poor Bradley, he's pacing, and I don't understand why. Actually, I picked him up a bone. Normally, if it's like hog bones and things like that we get in hams and things, we will let him have that outside, but never inside because of like the grease and stuff. And when I picked him up these bones today that he could chew on in the house, he immediately started walking around like he was trying to find somewhere to hide it. He probably is thinking in his mind that this is a bad, thing, that it's going to be taken away from him. And therefore, he's trying to figure out where he can go hide this, this bone. I haven't looked, but I would be willing to bet he's probably got that bone in his mouth. And he's trying to figure out where he can go hide it that we're not going to take it away. He managed to find a place to hide his ham bone that I had given him the other night. And we caught him chewing it on the couch last night, and we were like, oh, no, 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 sir. And he didn't like hearing that very much. But I told him then, I said, I'll go to PetSmart tomorrow and find you a bone that you can chew on in the house whenever you want. And so I did, and it was so cute. I opened up the package, and I let him sniff in it, because they're like peanut butter flavored, is what it says. But they're beef, like beef skin, beef, almost like a hard beef jerky that they can chew on. And he smelled it. I was like, does that smell good, Bubba? So I kind of opened the bag up further, and he stuck his little nose in, and I said, pick one out, and he grabbed him one, and he kind of just pranced around with that for a little while. I don't know. So that may be what he's doing. He may be looking for somewhere to hide that. I don't know how to explain to him that he doesn't have to. I guess he'll just have to learn that one by experience, that we're not taking that bone away when he has it in the house. I've got to start using my Tombows more. I've used them a handful of times for little things since I got them, and it's really it. You know, I hadn't used my Pit pens much, and even my gel pens were kind of getting neglected. I was focusing almost 100% on my alcohol markers. And so I just said, no, I'm not going to do that. I want to use more of these mediums. So that's what I've been doing. And I mean, I hope you guys don't mind. I know most of you, when you subscribed, you knew that I was using a lot of alcohol markers. So I hope all these other mediums is okay for you, and I hope you still enjoy watching them and watching the videos and seeing those be used. Tombows do seem to bleed through paper more than, even though they're water-based, a lot more so than the Crayola, I've noticed. So definitely use a blotter page, and if it's a double-sided image, definitely test your paper before you start putting the ink down. But I think Tombows have some very beautiful colors. I love their color range. Okay. Excuse me. I had to take a short break. So I never know if you guys notice when the camera like starts and stops. But this time, since I took such a long break, I honestly forgot what I was talking about before I left. I've been watching Anne, her video on the DOS Kid markers. So while I took that break, I watched a little more of that. I need more markers. Like, I need a hole in my head. I mean, I bought these John G's because I really wanted to like test them and demo them for you, and also for myself, for future knowledge. And I've been watching this DOS Kids, and now I'm like, want to try those too. So I might end up buying those. I am trying to figure out a place where I can do like a Donna's pics of the products that I use and that I enjoy, that I like the way they work. Never put anything in it that I wouldn't use or haven't used or don't like. So you guys can always have like a reference. And I'm trying to figure out how to do that. I don't know. I've got to look around. I know I could do like a shopping list on Amazon, where you guys could see everything. I don't know if I could do anything like that in the Facebook group, but I definitely want to do something that you guys could access here anytime, because I know everyone doesn't have Facebook. If you have any suggestions on how I could do a list like that, that would be great. I guess I could start, you know what I could do? I could do like a blog of some sorts. Sometimes I wonder if I'm getting myself in over my head. But I could do a blog. There's all kinds of free blogs out there. I'm going to do that. And I am going to do all my top pick products of everything I've tried that I like and where they can be purchased. Would you guys enjoy that? That way, if, you know, because I know a lot of people will ask me what marker do I prefer, or, you know, what have you. And that way, there would be a list there. You guys could go and look at my list and know that everything that you see on that list, I have used, and I enjoy. And so, therefore, it would be things that I would recommend. That's an interesting idea. That way, if say you're looking for alcohol markers, you could go look at my list and every alcohol marker that I have listed there. Maybe I could do a short pros and cons or something, you know, just a little clip so you could see, and then you guys could just kind of browse it and just kind of see which one you think you might prefer, and just know that whatever you're choosing has gotten my seal of approval. I think that would be neat, because we do these demos and reviews and give you our opinions, but the videos get old. They get further and further down on our video list. And so when that topic comes up, you guys have to go through so many videos to see, and you have to base it off titles if maybe we talked about something. So yeah, I think that I'm going to do a blog. I don't know when I'm going to start working on that, but I'm definitely going to start working on that. Maybe tonight even. Something to do. Keep my mind occupied. I think that would be a lot of fun. I love recommending products to you guys that I really enjoy and like. My mail just ran. I heard her truck. This is pretty early for her. During Christmas, sometimes it was right at 8 o'clock when the mail would show up. I must have a package because Bradley's barking. Thought my packages were coming in tomorrow, but if they manage to get here a day early, I'm good with that. I go out of the lines a lot more with these than I do with my alcohol markers, and I think that's just because I haven't really used them enough to get a really good feel. What is your favorite water-based marker for those of you who do use them? So far, Tombow is my favorite. But I really have not tried many at all. But I would definitely recommend Tombows to anyone. And I mean, they're not extremely cheap, but if you really look for sales, you can find good deals on them. And they have such a beautiful color range. I think that's looking pretty. Oh, goodness. I think I'm going to end this video for now. When I finish this last little bit of hair here. And as always, I don't know if I'll come back and finish it on camera or if I will, or if I'll come back and finish it on camera or if I'll finish it off camera. I don't like to make those kind of promises. But I do think it's looking nice. Okay. I think that's a good stopping point for right now. As I said, I may come back and work on this some more on camera, or I may not. We'll see. Keep you guys in suspense. But I hope you have enjoyed this. I hope that didn't scare anybody. That came out pretty loud. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. We would love to have you here. I hope my little soapbox that I got up on didn't bother anybody or ruffle too many feathers, but I really felt strongly about that. And so I will see you guys on my next video. I am going to check and see if this Tombow case is available on Amazon. If it is, I will leave a link for it in the description, so please check down below to see if I was able to link that. If these are available, the tropicals, I will link this as well. It does give you 6 colors that did not come in the old set, so 6 of these 10 are new pens. Okay, all right. So I will see you guys soon. And until next time, peace, love, and happy coloring. Bye, guys.